Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in, and please go like and subscribe this if you like to see the show. So today, before we get to our special guest, let's kick it off with our weekly Patreon question. And this week, we have got, what is your favorite 80s movie?
That's such a difficult question.
Oh, bro, it's so easy for me.
Dude,
Say it. What is it?
It's a tie. So maybe it's not that easy. Conan, the original, the Barbarian, and then Big Trouble in Little China.
Marcus loves that one.
Yeah.
So I used to go to sleep with the TV on when we first met, and then the protocol list we
Yep.
had to watch. That was always on.
Oh, yeah.
there. The Big Lebowski. She hates that scene with the cell phone thing.
It drives
Yeah.
me nuts.
Wakes you up every
The
single time.
telephone. I'm like, answer the damn phone.
Yeah.
So I was. Have you ever seen Remo Williams?
Yes.
Great movie.
Yeah.
And then you had Back to the Future in the '80s. There's so many good ones, man.
Remo was the
Also,
guy that was from
Caddyshack.
Tremors, right?
Yeah.
Caddyshack
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
good.
Caddyshack.
So good.
is a
Yeah.
Time
classic.
Rider.
So good.
Caddyshack's from there.
Yeah.
You're talking about Indiana Jones territory.
Yeah.
You're talking about Schwarzenegger and Stallone in their primes.
You have to bifurcate it, I think, into two different categories.
I think you would have to break it down
Because
further,
you could go legit good 80s movies.
And you got two team guys here, so we would
Yeah.
break it down by what month and then in the year. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're talking about blockbusters in the summertime, which were fantastic. The 80s could produce some freaking movies.
They've even got Goonies. We were just talking about that one.
I think that's why you have to bifurcate it. Is one, you could say, what is your favorite legitimately good 80s movie? Because then you could say any of the Indiana Jones, Top Gun, good movies, like
Yeah.
solid good movies. Then you have to say, just what's your favorite 80s movie? Because, Big Trouble in Little Chinatown, classic. Is it going to win an Oscar? No. Should it?
Jack
yes.
Burton.
Jack Burton
I kinda
is the
programmed half my
greatest
life
hero. Yeah.
The greatest
The
hero.
greatest hero in
He
movie
should be
history.
part of the Marvel and the DC verse.
100%.
So I'm going to go with 16 Candles and The Goonies. Those are two as a girl.
Yeah.
That is what I watched the most of.
Goonies was rated PG,
What about
right?
the Karate
Yes.
Kid?
It should not have been rated PG, by the way.
Which one?
Yeah,
The
they were,
Goonies.
They were
They're a little bit more,
Yeah,
little
they-
bit easier with the ratings, I think, in the 80s.
Yeah. The little penis that broke off
Yeah.
the statue.
Yeah.
And they were making out in the cave. And
Yeah.
That's everyday teenager stuff, right?
Well, and like the scary part of them. That
was a great movie.
Hey, you
That
guys! That
Movies
scary
about
guy.
real life.
Yeah.
Good Morning, Vietnam is
Yeah.
another good one.
Lethal Weapon. I mean,
Yeah.
we go down the Bruce Willis path too,
All of them.
all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 80s was probably
Rad.
Yeah. I showed that one to my kids not too long ago. Yeah. The Dirt Bike Kid was another great one from that era.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's Ralphie.
Yep. It is Ralphie.
So maybe we should just say the 80s, or do you agree with this? The 80s came out with the best movies as far as a decade.
Just the movies in '85 alone.
I mean, it definitely wasn't the 90s, and it definitely wasn't now.
Changed.
Yeah, now is the
Yeah.
worst.
I don't know. I think the 2000s have some prime time comedies.
It is early 2000s when they stopped being funny. Like early 2000s, they had some good stuff, and then it became, we can't say certain things, we can't do certain things, somewhere like around the 2010 mark.
Yeah, I think like around that 2008
Yeah.
mark is like the peak.
Well, 9/11 shifted everything to where it was all badass, kill you,
Yeah.
Born to be tough,
Yeah.
operator movies.
Yep.
I mean, that's all they were watching. The war movies kicked in, and the horror movies. We got really
Yeah.
good at all three of those.
Yeah. Yeah, you had like Dodgeball was early 2000s.
So good. That whole
This-
crew, man. Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers.
Just keep it going.
So freaking
Yeah.
funny.
Just
oh
keep
my
it going.
gosh.
There's some. If there's certain days when I'll throw Adam Sandler marathon on,
Yep.
go and let him run the day,
So-
and then if it's a rainy day, it's Lonesome Dove.
We had we still have a cottage up in Michigan, and we would drive from Texas to Michigan each summer, and we'd load our old Suburban up, and my dad would put like a TV in there with a converter so that you could plug
Very
it
nice.
in.
Yeah.
We would watch myself and my two sisters, this is not an exaggeration, we watched Billy Madison the entire way up. And what I mean by that is it would get through, we would rewind it, and we would watch it. Like, it's an 18-hour trip, so that's like 9 showings of Billy Madison.
We had John
And
Candy.
never
We
got
had
tired
John
of it.
Candy in the 80s.
Yeah.
We did.
We had the
Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck.
Summer Rental,
Yeah.
Vacation.
Yep.
So you have to watch Christmas Vacation in our family when December hits, and then when May rolls in, it's summer vacation.
Summer vacation time. Yeah.
Thank those people for those movies.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club.
American heroes.
They are.
American
They
Hero.
defined a nation. Look how we turned out. Don't we look normal?
Yeah.
They must have been great. Look at us.
I love it.
Freaking good question.
Yeah,
They didn't even give an answer, though.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And thank y'all for the hospitality.
My favorite is when team guys come in here because we'll just start talking about. Most people are interested in where we come from and how you got to where you're at. The best way I try to explain it is you take one kid from each walk of life in the United States, one of the alphas, and throw them into one fraternity. It's kind of what happened to us.
Yeah.
But and then your career after. So to back that up, just where'd you come from?
Yeah. Right here in Texas from, I tell people Corsicana because that's where we did sports, school, church, all that stuff. But the town itself is called Blooming Grove, and it's probably 20 minutes outside of Corsicana. But we were not even really in Blooming Grove. We were on the outskirts, and I think just Blooming Grove was the nearest zip code they could give us. So we had small ranch. It was about 57 acres, I think. Parents raised horses and some other animals. So kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But
so by Texas standards, you're country redneck?
Country redneck, yeah.
Just making clear. I want everyone to know.
100%.
Our people,
yeah.
they speak a certain language.
Yep. And it was an awesome way to grow up. 57 acres now as an adult. That's my property in Virginia is about 57 acres. And, you can walk it in an hour. But as a kid, 57 acres seems like a wilderness. Yeah. So it was out there exploring, trying to avoid work on the farm as much as possible by just being in the woods all the time. And that was really it.
Yeah, but it's always there when you walk back out of the woods.
Always there.
Did you have chores?
Yes. So we had chores. Mine was mainly the horses. We had emus at one point in time for some reason.
I remember that phase in life.
Oh, yeah, man.
When our parents went through that.
Yeah. Your parents had emus too? Or they were thinking about it?
We had 3 or something.
Oh, we had like 30.
Well, my gosh.
Yeah, we were incubating eggs.
Remember that? Everyone was like, emu.
I remember there was, what was it about the emu? There was definitely a phase where they said something was super valuable about them.
2 things. The meat, which is good meat. It's very lean red meat. That's what it was. And then the oil. So I was looking on my wife's face cream the other day. She has like a beef business, so it's all like tallow-based oils for skin. And one of the main ingredients was beef oil. Second ingredient was emu oil, so it's still floating around somewhere.
Well, you still got one on TV.
Yeah, the car insurance guy, right? Liberty. Yeah.
Okay, so growing up in how many brothers and sisters?
2 sisters, one older, one younger. So I was right in the middle. It was good. We're much closer now than we probably were growing up. You have different interests and whatnot. So when you're kids, you play together, and then when your sisters get a little bit older, they have their friend group, you have your friend group. Even though it's a small town, not necessarily the same friends. Not that we didn't like each other. It was just, sisters and brothers are a little bit different going through
Did you
high
play
school
sports?
I did. So I went to a small Christian school until high school.
Which one?
It's called Corsicana Christian Academy.
Is it still there?
No, it closed down.
After you left?
After I left, there was nothing left.
More.
I burned it to the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
We finally got rid of him.
Are you kidding me?
We've done our job.
Right.
Yeah, we'll release him to the wild and
we got a couple
close the
guys
doors.
like that.
Yeah. And close the doors. But it was, I think it was started by some parents who wanted their kids to have like a faith-based education. But what ended up happening was it was the second school in Corsicana, basically. So you had your private school, your public school, so your middle school, elementary school, high school, and then the Christian Academy, I think, was the only other show in town. So if you got booted out of the public school, there's only one other show for you. So we ended up being a little bit of a blend, I think, of parents who wanted their kids to, be raised with the faith aspect, and then parents who were just like, this is the only other place for Johnny. Yeah, this is it. So there was different learning that happened at the old Christian Academy, but played soccer there. They didn't have a football team. They didn't have a wrestling team. They didn't have rugby or anything like that. We weren't big enough. So it was basically barely enough to fill the soccer team. And that was combining like all kinds of grades that probably shouldn't have been combined to play soccer. So I played soccer when I went to the high school. It was 10th grade. And by then I was a soccer player. So I didn't even try out for football or anything else. So
that's a big deal in Texas.
It is huge. Looking back at it, I wish I would have at least done like a season or something and given it a whirl. But I like soccer, and I was not great at it, but I was good enough at it. So
Soccer's
stuck
pretty
with
big
that.
in Dallas, though.
It's huge now. It's big for ladies. Like even when I was growing up, it was way bigger for the girls than it was the boys. My sister went to TCU on a scholarship for 4 years, and she was playing on like club teams in Dallas all throughout high school and all that stuff.
I went to high school in Dallas Christian, and we had a soccer team, and they needed more girls.
I have a picture of this, actually.
There was like some really good girls that played club and all of that. And then they didn't have enough to make the team. So they just kind of invited whoever wanted to do it. And so my best friend and I were like, sure, we'll do it. We knew nothing about soccer other than we got out of class to actually go do practices. And the games, we were traveling down to Corsicana. We were traveling to all over. So we're like, yeah, we'll do it. Knew zero.
Yeah.
Hated to run, hated to exercise, like all of this. So we really just put the uniform on and took pictures and sat on the bench the whole time.
Member of the team. Hey, if you would have won the state championship, you know what you would have got? You would have got a ring, like everybody else.
So funny because the kids see pictures of me in a soccer uniform. They're like, "Oh, my mom played soccer." And I'm like,
"That's the definition of everyone gets a trophy."
I'm like,
so
no.
you were
that's where that comes from.
You were the token 2 players on the soccer team. Yeah.
And my best friend, we still laugh about it. And every birthday, we send a picture of ourselves in those soccer uniforms because we were not soccer players. I do not know the game, still don't know the game, never learned it. But I did dress up in the uniform and I did sit on the bench and I went to all the games.
It counts.
Yeah.
It counts.
Cheer my ass off. Like
yeah.
But I love that our little ones are like, my mom played soccer. I'm like, no, don't tell anybody that.
Like, technically, yes.
Can you imagine having to play that without knowing the rules?
My goodness.
Or walking onto a rugby game, not knowing how to play the game, and just like go.
Yeah.
You look silly. You just get an eye.
We went to a Sabercats.
Props for the guts for doing that, by the way.
We went to a game the other day.
A rugby game?
A rugby game the other day.
Sabercats.
We
have a professional team here, Sabercats.
It is. So my boys all play it. My daughter played it in Coronado. We moved to in Virginia. There's just not a ladies team. There's not a girls team. She's young, but the boys all play it, and they're obsessed with it. Now that I know the game, I think it's the best team sport on the planet because it's all about sacrifice. It's not like every other sport I've ever seen. Somebody can take the game over. If you got a Tom Brady, he can take the game over. If you got a Michael Jordan, he can take the game over. That's not happening in rugby. Because it's just a grind.
Yeah.
Just an absolute grind.
We had fun.
They're built different.
Yeah.
They are.
You can tell a rugby player when he walks in the door, man, they just look different.
Yeah.
From the legs, the way they walk, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, tree trunk legs.
And I was sitting on the sidelines. I was like, oh, this guy's definitely from South Africa. Definitely Europe. You had that look.
Yeah.
Dude hit me with a Texas accent.
Yeah, wait a second. Yeah.
It completely threw me off. I was like, wait a minute. But it was fun. We had a blast. So if you don't, Houston, you're not aware that we have a rugby team. We do. So get over there and watch them play.
Yeah.
Okay, so military in your family?
So not really much. So not on my dad's side, his parents were both musicians. So they played in the Dallas Symphony. They played forever. They played like musicians. Yeah.
Like orchestra type.
Orchestra type.
Okay,
they played in the New York Symphony. In World War II, he was in my grandfather was in the band basically. So they roam around doing all the shows and whatnot. My mom's side, her grandfather, so my great grandfather, and I was telling you about this last night, was a 2-star general during World War II. He ran the National Guard basically. So he lost a son who was a captain at the Battle of the Bulge. But it's not. We have some military history in the family, but it's not like every single generation. Someone has gone something like that. Sure. Yeah,
because we have them in America.
Oh, absolutely, you do.
It's impressive to see. And you know what else we have is a lineage at the academies, at the Naval Academy and at West Point. There's families that have been there since the beginning.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. Because talk about pressure.
Yeah.
Not only for being in the family, just to not to digress, but to be the family member coming in. But what about the instructors knowing that's
so-and-so's kid? Yeah.
Been
so
here
Washington's
since the
great grandson. Yeah.
How are you going to
What are you going to do? Wash him out? Yeah.
Dude.
You probably had someone in your Bud's class that was a legacy guy. I had a kid in my class who was a captain's son. He didn't make it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had that all through the line.
Yeah.
Most of the time they hide their names.
This guy
they'll
did
use their
not.
middle name or their mom's name.
Okay.
He didn't hide it?
He didn't hide it.
We had a guy, when I dropped into SQT class, his daddy was an admiral.
Oof.
Christensen's daddy was an admiral.
Okay.
Eric.
Oh, yeah.
Remember,
yeah.
he's a
yeah.
badass dude.
Yeah.
He got full benefit at Buds when they found that out.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
full
sure.
benefit.
Yeah.
So what made you want to go into the military?
And what
So
would you see that got you on that?
it was a book. It was a book. I read a
Which
book.
one?
It was this is what trips me out to this day is I can't remember because I want to say the men with the title.
I know we're
I can't
trying to
remember the
motivate
title.
people here.
Yes. I can't remember the title. So I want to say it was the Men with Green Faces.
Great book.
And if you asked me that, I'd been like, that's it. But I looked at the publication date and it was after I decided that I wanted to go in. So it was some book on SEALs in Vietnam and it was in the Corsicana Public Library. And there was only one book about SEALs. And I was in the military history section. I was 13 years old. I picked this book up and it had a picture of a dude in a bandana with a stoner taking a knee in the bush. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm reading it. And I read it and I was hooked and that's what I wanted to do.
With
but
the
back
green
then,
cravat
yes.
bandana around his head?
Yes.
Not all the way over?
Not all the way over.
Right through here?
Yep.
I know that book.
Yeah. But I can't remember the stinking name of it. But it was all just stories about frogmen in Vietnam. So I tried to, from then, find every book that I could, but there just wasn't that many back then. So I think I'd read...
What year is this? We're going to research it.
This would have been... I was 13, so it would have been 95, 96.
Back in the 1900s.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
We'll find it.
Yeah.
So would have swore it was the Men with Green Faces because I read that later, but looking at the publication date, it couldn't have been.
The Commandos. I know that book had a lot of pictures in it too, right? With write-ups and like, this is what we do.
Yep.
One of the guys had red hair in it. I remember that book. We'll find it.
We're going to find it.
But I read that book and it was, to me, looking back at it, obviously I don't know these things as a 13-year-old, but I think it was a huge blessing from God because I read that book and it was something inside me was just alive. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So that was it. And I everything I did after that was basically just asking myself the question, is this next move going to help me get into the Navy? And if it's not, then I didn't do it. So, behavioral decisions, grades in school, like all those things, if it wasn't going to help me get into the military, I was not concerned with it whatsoever. So, I wasn't a fun person in college because I never went out and partied. I was just working out, training.
I can't believe that because you're an Aggie.
Yes, I am. And there's plenty of opportunities to go party.
Now they all know it. Everyone knows it.
But I was
out in the open now, bro.
But I was the worst Aggie because I was so focused, I didn't take part in hardly any traditions. I was up in the morning working out with guys. Yeah, just edit this part. I was the greatest. I did have a big maroon truck, so that counts for something. At least it counts for something. Yeah. But it was a book, and I read it, and it was just something in me said, hey, you can actually do this for a living. Like, this is a career path. And I just set my sights on that. If you would have asked me, if you'd asked my parents when I told them at 14 years old, this is what I wanted to do, they would have said, okay, sure, but like it's never going to happen because I was all the things that you didn't need to be to go into the military. But that book kind of put me on the straight and narrow, if you will.
That's what we need to do. We need all the team guys in our generation need to write the outline of what you don't need.
Yeah,
because it's probably what you do need for
a
team guy.
Yeah, stubbornness.
Because once Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, I tried to be him in the team.
Yeah.
That was what I was.
Bought the polo, the short shorts,
convertible,
crashing golf carts around. Look for a bridge.
The song,
yes.
Boys Are Back in Town.
Looking for a bridge to jump off of.
Bro, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Pretty sure you did all of that.
I did do that.
Yeah.
Marcus in college was the exact opposite. Even though he was focused on going into the teams too. He did all of the things in the movie.
I know. Look, I got kids now, so you got
to keep it away. Yeah. How much you let out, how much you keep.
And I feel like our saving grace is the fact that we did it for God and country.
Yes.
So if you're a wild child and you want to have the most fun of your entire life, go into the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
Because I was like you. Once I got bit, I couldn't. No. It's all I focused on.
Look, there's different paths too, right? There's the straight narrow path that gets you there, and then there's there's the windy path. But look, he'll take you there wherever you need to be. If that's where you're supposed to end up.
It winds through the narrow path.
There's touch points.
Trust me, there's places for guys like us. They've invented it. It's a great place to be. God bless it, man.
What year did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school in 2001, but then I stayed at my Navarro College, which is a junior college in Corsicana. I stayed there for 2 years because I could go for almost nothing because my mom was a professor there. So I paid like $500 a year or something like that to go to college. I've knocked out all my basics from there and then transferred to A&M as a sophomore-ish junior type. Yep.
So that was pre-2001. The internet's just now coming on board. Are you researching things, or are you watching movies to learn about the SEAL teams?
The biggest thing back then was that 234 video, where it was the most information you could get, the Discovery Channel thing. In 2001, 2002, stuff started to kind of come out, but everything that I was researching was basically just like, what workouts do you need to do? What's the career path? Like, career path meaning, how do I get there?
Did you see that VHS?
Oh, yes.
Did you see those?
What do you think your family would do if life threw you a curveball? Life insurance can provide a peace of mind and ensuring that they're financially protected. And that's where Policy Genius comes in, the top online insurance marketplace. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies starting at just $292 per year for up to $1 million of coverage. Some options even 100% online, so no need for unnecessary medical exams. It's so convenient and it saves a lot of time. A friend of mine uses Policy Genius and loves how easy it was to compare all the top options with all the top insurers with just a few clicks. Plus, if you're having trouble finding an option, their agents are fantastic at guiding you through the process to pick the plan that works just for you. Also, if you have work life insurance, it still may not be enough and it might not follow you if you switch jobs. Policy Genius is trustworthy with no bias towards any insurer, and they have thousands of 5-star reviews to speak for themselves. So get peace of mind with Policy Genius. Go head on over to policygenius.com or click the link in the description below to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com or click the link in the description below.
I had a tape that they were like telling you what to do, and they were yelling Jodies and all, like just stuff that you could only get pre-internet.
Yeah.
I would listen to the cadences.
Yes.
I got bit by it so hard, I just listened to the cadences singing while I was doing the run. Everything.
Oh, I did too. And it, it might seem a little bit nerdy, but it paid off for me in training, because whenever there was someone, because every now and then an instructor would want someone to yell, sing the Jodies, and I knew all of them. So I would get to be the guy that got harassed less when we were doing the runs, because I was the guy keeping the cadence.
So what BUDS class number were you?
So I was 272 going through BUDS. And then as an officer, you get rolled after you graduate BUDS. You go to the junior officer training course for 6 weeks or 5. I can't remember what it is, 5 or 6 weeks.
Is that what it is now?
I think so.
Or they're hooking y'all up.
Yeah, what it used to be.
It used to be 4 weeks, I think, for my guys.
Maybe it was 4.
But all right, go ahead.
Yeah, and so from there, then
so you went through BUDS as an officer.
As an officer, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
loved it because
I bet you did.
Yeah,
keep your head under the boat, sir.
100%, and I will. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Broken, dude. Matt McGraw is the baddest.
Oh yeah, dude.
Man. You know him?
I know the name. I know the legend.
Son of a gun.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
and is a tough. God, them old freaking.
What I loved about it,
gun,
what I liked about it is, going into BUDS, wanting to be a SEAL, it was very selfish. It was, I want to be a part of this community. I want to prove I can do it. Yet, do I want to serve? Yes, of course I want to serve.
Okay, is that considered
selfish? But I want to do that. I don't know. I would think from a 19-year-old's perspective, 21-year-old's perspective, I think it's self-serving maybe. But then my perspective starting in BUDS changed, because what you realize pretty quick is, especially if you're in charge, you're not in charge of much in BUDS, but you're given a boat crew, right? And if you don't perform, if you screw up, your boat crew gets beat for you. Sorry, gets remediated for you.
That's important.
Yeah.
We use big words in SEAL teams. It makes it sound real educated, smart, intellectual.
Right? Yeah. Can't say beat anymore, but
it's
remediated.
Not proper for us. We actually talk like that.
Yeah. So what I realized was focusing on your guys is the right thing to do. And the crazy thing about it was life got better for me too. The less you think about yourself, especially when you're miserable, the better off you are. So real quickly, I lost that selfish type mentality of this is about me becoming a SEAL, and more about, I got guys that I got to make sure that we're all performing together and we're taken care of. And then my strain became less. So did I get a little more extra attention every now and then because you got the butter bars on? Yeah, but all in all, net positive for sure.
because you were part of the team. You were creating a team.
Yeah, and the guys are the team. You're just there to basically be their representative and carry your share of the weight.
Man, the freaking our ensigns, the butter bars. You know what? They look like a shiny piece of gold walker when they got the uniform. It's because that trident activates all that stuff. You guys get special attention too. I mean,
we did.
I mean, I pick on the officers all the time, but you guys actually earn that, man.
How many officers go through a BUDS class?
I want to say we started with 15.
Was it 12 to 15?
12 to 15.
You have that many officers going through.
Yeah, and then we finished with, I think, 6 or 7, maybe 7.
Which is a big deal when they quit.
It is.
It's especially the academy boys.
Yeah.
And you can tell when that happens. It's almost one of the first times you see everything slow down in training is when a kid who's been trained to be a leader. There's a lot that goes into them before they get to mix up with us. A lot.
So you had Burke and Billy?
I sure did.
Those were your officers?
They sure were.
Okay.
best.
I'm trying to picture who in your class would have been the officers
Billy,
going through.
Yeah, Billy and Clint.
Yeah.
Clint Burke?
Yeah.
He was an Aggie too, wasn't he?
No,
Was he?
He's got a great story, bro. He was in the Naval Academy and got kicked out of the Naval Academy.
Okay.
Went to North Carolina and then got reaccepted into the academy and picked up for butt. Are you kidding me?
That's got to be the only time.
And now
that's
he's running
happened.
the center.
Yeah.
This guy's. I saw him the other day, man. You want to talk about freaking all time?
Badass.
He is, man.
Yeah.
I'll never say that out loud. He's a punk, and I thought
Yeah,
he
of course,
got
of
washed out a long
course.
time ago. But yeah, man, all my officers turned out great.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a super solid crew that made it through too.
What'd
all
you start
just good
with?
people. With
In your entire class.
we started with 250.
That's a summer class.
Yeah, big class. And then we ended with 27
They
originals.
kicked the shit out of y'all, huh?
They did. But, a lot of guys get rolled. So it was probably more like 50-ish, but people get rolled. But we graduated with 27.
Did
I'm
you
talking
have
about
any
those originals.
The originals.
Did you have any major injuries or anything?
Luckily, I did not. And that, I had a buddy who had a cyst on his back, like a grinder reminder when we're doing all the sit-ups on the grinder, and it just got infected. And he got rolled. And I'm like, that's just demoralizing to realize you have to go back to day one. When I was a new guy, my other junior officer with me, my platoon, he was prior enlisted, guy named Rob, freaking phenomenal dude. He had gone through first phase 3 times because he kept getting SIPE. So he stayed there.
Really?
He didn't go away. He stayed there for 3. So he went through Hell Week
That's
3
tough.
times.
Guys get sick like that.
Yeah.
We had a guy on the podcast the other day that had, what was the thing he slid down?
Those,
Wall.
the low wall.
The low wall. And a huge splinter this big went through his arm and was sticking out the
I'm
other
talking
side.
about like Young Gun style.
Yeah.
Through
Holy
and
cow.
He told that story, and then I was talking to a buddy of mine, Billy Wagansey, the other day. He was in
the same BUDS class.
He was in the same BUDS class, saw it go down.
Yeah.
And he goes, Marcus, you ain't kidding, man. It wasn't a splinter. Because he says it like it's a splinter.
Yeah.
He goes, it wasn't no damn splinter, man. It looked
It
like
was
that
like a
freaking dagger from
stitch.
Young Guns.
Jeez, man,
when
you
he
got a
stuck
dart
the-
in your neck.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
You got a damn dart. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
Good
that's crazy.
Lord.
Well, good for you. You didn't have any injuries or anything, and you got to go all the way through.
No, and I think, just...
What was your hardest phase?
It's going to sound weird, third phase. And the reason is, physically demanding wise, first phase was the hardest, obviously, by far. Second phase, pretty comfortable in the water. They teach you, if you listen, they teach you a lot of things. They give you time to practice it. If you practice it, you can squeeze it out you can go through there pretty quickly or pretty easily. If you do the skills that they ask you to do and you pay attention, you're comfortable. Third phase, we all had this attitude because we had a good class and the instructors really liked our class. First phase, second phase, they liked personality. So if your class has personality, you got funny guys in your class and you work hard, the instructors like you, they tend to like you, which means your time's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier. Third phase, we got there and we're like, we've been a great class. Third phase, we're going to learn things. It's a little bit less of a beating. Man, we had a chief in third phase that just hated us. And he never went away. He stayed on the island for the entire time. So we got beat every day. And it was worse for us because I think we were out of this mindset of the first phase mindset, but we real quick were put back into the first phase mindset. And
That's what that's for.
On the island, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Can't hear you scream.
There's no one to say, hey,
you know
stop
why we say
that.
that? It says it. It's written in, and when I say in stone, it's etched on a rock. They can't hear you scream.
Yeah. So third phase was awesome because you're learning all these different skills, but man, we got beat more than we trained probably in third phase. Looking back at it, fond memories. Going through it, not the deal.
So when you graduated, what team did you go to?
I went to Team 7 after SQT, and I did 2 tours at Team 7. So I did my squad commander tour, which is, you're technically in charge of 8 people, but really you're a new guy. So you're learning, you're absorbing all these things. You have a little bit of responsibility. And then I went right from there into my platoon commander tour. So I was very fortunate. I asked to stay at the team, and my skipper approved it. So instead of having to leave and do a disassociated tour somewhere, I got to just stay and do 2 tours right in a row at Team 7.
Who'd you have? Eggers?
No, I had Rosenblum.
Oh,
just phenomenal. Yeah. Just awesome guy.
Still around.
Yep. So had him first tour. Second tour was a guy named Johnson. Not as good as Rosie, but hey, it was a great tour. Yeah. And then first deployment, Afghanistan for 11 months. Doing the VSO stuff, just like Morgan. Morgan and I were in the platoon commander's course together. So I did VSO, my new guy tour, and I think he did it his platoon commander tour. So my platoon commander tour, we went to a place called the Crisis Response Element in the middle of an undisclosed location in the Middle East, which is basically like Benghazi scenario happens, we're supposed to be the response force if it goes down. So not as exciting as Afghanistan, but we got to do at least one cool operation while we were there.
My brother definitely got full benefit out of a military career.
Yeah.
He walked on both sides of the force.
Oh yeah.
It's impressive. Now he's doing the congressman thing, which is unbelievable.
He's one of those overachievers, man. Just keeps going.
Can you believe it?
Keeps going.
Man, I didn't grow up with that.
Dude, seriously.
That's the way I am. That's why I'm like this, man.
The pressure it must have put you underneath. I mean, come on.
That's my whole point.
It's selfish. Morgan, what that is that selfish. How dare you?
Older brother.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking down on me all the time.
It's like those team guys that are like, well, that wasn't good enough. I'm going to be an astronaut afterwards.
Yes.
After I'm a neurosurgeon, too.
Yes.
I talked to one of our astronauts the other day. Aren't they great? You know what? Good for you.
You're like, great. Awesome. So now everybody thinks that, after the SEALs, the natural career path is to be a freaking astronaut.
Right.
That's what I have to live up to. Check.
No. Now you don't even want to tell people you're a SEAL.
No. Yeah.
Were you an astronaut too?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you were just a SEAL?
Just a SEAL?
Yeah.
Lame.
Hey, thanks, brothers.
Yeah. Hooking us up, guys. Yeah.
Hey, my brother did something on the floor of Congress the other day. He called his wife out and told her that and all the wives and how wonderful and then I walk in the house and my wife goes, guess what your congressman brother did? So when she throws rank over me, I know he must have done something phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't have nothing. I can't come back on that.
No. That's when you just smile. You're like, it's one, and then you call him up afterwards. You're like, listen,
I'm gonna go over there.
Listen.
Yeah, wait till the kids leave.
Your actions have ramifications.
I'm over here drowning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You literally was in the trenches taking grenades. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm sorry, man. We're talking about something.
So your tour to Afghanistan,
Yes.
anything eventful that you can talk about happened?
Yeah, lots of stuff. So we were there for 11 months. So I don't know if...
I remember when they did that to y'all, man.
Yeah, and they did it to a couple teams because they did that because they wanted to get all the teams basically synchronized on their deployments again. And what that meant was 2 teams, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, had to basically do an extended deployment to get everybody synced up together. So we did 11 months, but I wouldn't change it for the world because we were doing 11 months in Afghanistan, and it was an amazing experience. We got to do village stability operations, which a lot of guys weren't super excited about, but we had a really awesome platoon commander and a really awesome platoon chief who were very creative. And look, there's a lot of flexibility to do things that you want to do inside of that mission set. So village stability operations, the tenet of it is basically Afghanistan's a wild place. There's not a lot of tie-in to the local governance. So the thought process was build these small camps in these remote villages, get them to train up a police force for that village, for that province. They can then secure the province, and then you just put all these VSO sites around the country, and then eventually you've got all these police forces that can keep security. So we inherited a new place, which meant 6 months of our tour was basically just clearing bad guys out of there. So we're training guys up, Afghanis up, building partnerships with them and relationships with them and whatnot, but we're also clearing the bad guys out of our region. So it was a great tour. And we started right about, I think we embedded in March and then pulled chocks and redeployed in February. So only a couple months of that were the winter months where things died down. So we had 8 months basically of pretty kinetic operation. So it was 11 months. It was very hard on my wife and our newborn, but man, it was a great experience. And my chief and my OIC gave me so much faith and trust. I got to run one of our sites. We split sites, and I got to run one of those with my chief. So I had an outsized piece of learning my first deployment. Very, very fortunate to have that, which is probably why my skipper gave me the option to stay back as a platoon commander, was because I had the opportunity to get a lot of experience that just some of my peers didn't have because they weren't doing that operation. Yeah. So it was a blast. It was a lot of cool military things that we trained for, and then a lot of things we didn't train for, like trying to convince these tribal elders that we were the good guys. Half of them didn't even know why we were there. They didn't even know who the heck Karzai was. There was a president that was news to them. I mean, it was just learning all over the place for sure.
That is Wild West when you think about like how removed they are from what's going on in their own country, their own government. And
they send our 18 to 25-year-olds over there to do negotiations.
That's what
they don't even speak the language, which means the slang's different. Anything we've learned, you can't imagine how hard that is, especially at that age, and then being scared because everyone's trying to kill you.
Yeah. The amount of trust and confidence that our military puts in our young men and women is insane. I was 26 at the time. I think I was a little bit older than maybe some guys, but you've got captains that are doing that job in the Army and Marine Corps who are 22 years old. Yeah. You've got probably sergeants that are 23, 24 years old doing that job. I mean, that's an incredible amount of trust that our country puts into those young men and women that are over there,
just
doing
to have
those
the patience, discipline to communicate, because they say one thing and then they go do something else.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, then we'd get upset, but they didn't understand what we were saying.
Yeah, for sure. It's total miscommunication,
especially
right?
in the beginning.
Yeah.
You got to know most wars are because of that.
Especially with those very distinct cultural norms, like we don't really have those really distinct cultural norms. They definitely have them.
America got rid of those.
Yeah, they definitely have them.
One of the things about living here.
Yeah. We kind of overthrew it with the crown and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you've never left America, you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
When we say you can't do that over there because they will do this, that just means it's understood.
Oh, for sure. We came up across, sometimes you get pulled in these local grievances where they're trying to use your might to settle a local grievance. And they pulled us in and they were like, well, these guys did this and they raided our village and you guys need to go get them. And what we found out was two of these guys broke a cultural norm. And the village elders just dragged him out into a wadi and shot them both in the back of the head.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's the type of
That's what happens.
That's what, like that stuff doesn't really happen. Like we don't have those strict norms. They definitely happen. If you don't know them, you can definitely end up in some hot water.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder how it would have turned out if we'd have sent all the guys we were recruiting for the police and the military back to the States to be trained. To let them get and I'm talking about like pamper them.
Yeah.
To where when they go back home, we're like, hey, this is how we need to do this.
Listen, guys, listen. We can, instead of being this crazy, we can let the reins down a little bit.
How cool this can actually be. I've seen it.
Yeah.
All right? And I mean lay it on them real thick,
Oh, yeah.
Hey, now go back. And good luck.
Yeah, Godspeed.
Godspeed, man. Because you ought to see us over there. We look like we don't belong.
For sure.
At least with your own people. And just think about that. If somebody wasn't around or came in here trying to tell you something, as opposed to your own people saying, look, this is kind of the cool way of doing things. It's more... It flows better.
Yeah. It was, luckily our chief and our platoon commander were very good at that stuff, so I could learn a lot from them.
Because that's a Green Beret job.
It is 100% a Green Beret job. That's what they're trained to do. We are not trained to do that stuff.
Why were y'all doing that?
Because there's just not enough people to do it. Not enough people to do it. And the West Coast specifically, had not been in Afghanistan for a little bit. And this was kind of our gateway back into Afghanistan. So it was any job, we'll take it. And guys, a lot of guys complain about it. Man, we had a great time. I think if you were creative and you had good leadership, it's just opportunity.
If you want to teach your son or anybody or yourself to be a great barterer, like a negotiator, go over there and go in and try and buy something or do something, let them sell you something, and let them teach you how to negotiate. It's the most impressive thing you've ever seen. And if you don't, it's
almost like an insult if you don't.
If you don't negotiate, they won't have any. It's an insult to them. Just like slapping them in the face. Yeah. And we didn't know that.
That's so different.
That and gift giving. Gift giving is a big thing to them. And there was a couple times where I was caught off guard and I just wasn't ready to reciprocate. And you could tell it was not a good thing. I mean, nothing like violent, but it was kind of like, oh, I've totally let this guy down.
Yeah.
You know, I failed in building this relationship with this tribal elder because I came not ready to bear a gift.
Team guys are great about backfilling stuff, though.
Yeah. Yes, we definitely hooked it up on the backside.
We can backfill you like you can't believe, man. We're in here to flavor the water a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll come back at you.
We experienced that. I experienced that here in the U.S. when Gulab came to visit us. And Marcus said, like, we have to have gifts. And so we were just constantly showering him with gifts. And it made me so mad when a news reporter, not him, but a news reporter through a translator, like kind of playing that telephone thing, things get twisted. And they took our gifts as we were trying to buy him out kind of thing. And that made me so mad. I'm like, it is cultural tradition for you to take care of them. And like, he deserves a lot of gifts. So we literally pampered the crap out of him.
Probably the same type of reporter who would call someone out for cultural appropriation if they saw them, you know, a white guy with dreadlocks or something. But then here you are trying to genuinely show interest and take part in someone's culture and respect their cultural norms, and you get called out for it.
Yeah.
Summer is the perfect time to buy a new home, and Navy Federal Credit Union makes it easy for military members and their families. With their no refi rate drop option, you can buy a home now and lower your rate later without refinancing. Plus, they offer 0 down payment mortgage options. And let's get started talking about their credit cards, because Navy Federal's More Rewards card is amazing. You can earn 30,000 bonus points just by spending $3,000 in your first 90 days. Enjoy a low intro APR on balance transfers, and you can get a one-time statement credit for a Walmart Plus membership. Managing rewards is a breeze with their mobile app, and your rewards never expire as long as you have an open account. At Navy Federal, their members are the mission. You can check them out at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal is insured by the NCUA. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Loans are subject to approval and eligibility requirements.
It's annoying.
I'll bet there's to it.
No, but
White noise.
all right. So after Team 7,
So Team 7, and then I asked to stay and do a third tour at Team 7 as a troop commander, and my XO, who's a great guy, was like, you were way too junior to do that, so you have to go somewhere else. So I went to Buds as an instructor, and I ran the third phase. And I didn't really have, you know, this crazy desire to be a Buds instructor. I wanted to get back to a team, and I knew that if you're at Buds as an officer and someone gets injured or someone gets fired, you can raise your hand and say, hey, I'll go replace them, and they'll pull from Buds pretty quickly. So
I wanted to go there.
I was very glad I did. And I wasn't opposed to it. It was a great job, but my real maneuvering was, how do I get back to a team as quick as possible? But it was an awesome job. And I had just a great crew of guys, a lot of guys I went through Buds and SQT with and deployed with. And getting to be on the other side of the Buds equation was a great experience, because you get to see all the workings that go into it, all the things you don't see and appreciate as a student, obviously, because you're just trying to survive. But man, those instructors pour their hearts and souls into that selection pipeline. I mean, they really do. Their whole life during that 2-3 years that they're there is dedicated to that selection pipeline, which you might not ever know that as a student. You might not feel like that, but they're dedicated to you, to the right people making in the community, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I wanted to do a stretch there after all the combat, just to be around, to hear the comedy that goes into training a Bud student.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen how hard y'all laugh, and
oh yeah,
that's when the true wit of our guys come out.
Yeah.
When you get to pick on somebody on purpose.
Yep.
That's your job.
Yeah.
It is a great place to be, I think.
It's almost like a stand-up comedy special with a couple of guys that are in each phase has.
You can't believe it. I mean, and they're trying to be. They're serious. That's the funny part. Sometimes, like, some of them are dead serious, and whatever they say is the funniest thing you've ever. Because when another human tries to act it out, it's unbelievable.
No, I don't have a good poker face either. So if I had one of my buddies that was doing one of those making one of those comments, I couldn't keep a straight face. I'd have to turn around and find someplace else to go, because you have guys that are real good at just playing along, that was not me.
Yeah.
I find things too funny. So I was not the best in that situation.
That's hilarious.
Oh, dude. As soon as those sunglasses go on, it's like
game over.
Game over.
Yeah. Game on. But it was awesome, getting to go out to the island and train guys up and give them skills. And by that time, the officers that are going through the program specifically, you can pour mentorship into them. Because if you're in first phase, you're not mentoring the officers that much because you don't know who's going to be around. So by third phase, odds are they're graduating and they're going to make it to a team. So I could start as an officer, sit down with them and really start to, give them some words of wisdom that I wish I would have had at that age and give them a little bit of extra learning.
Be the opposite of the guy you had in third
Yeah,
phase.
our officer was not really, he just wasn't even really present. He just never came out to the island. So somewhere along the way, they changed the rule where the officer or the master chief of the phase had to be on the island. So I would spend, 3 to 4 weeks on the island with each class, doing all the drills with them and whatnot, teaching them all the skills, or backing my guys up as they were teaching the skills. I didn't really teach much of anything. But then we'd get to have that officer mentorship time afterwards. And there's always the line between the instructor and the student, but it was nice to be able to pour back into them, invest in them a little bit. Whereas first phase, there's no real investing.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Second phase, you're underwater the whole time. There's no communication at all. Barely.
Exactly. Can't talk. Just terrified looks through goggles.
That's it.
Yeah.
Freaking.
So did you retire after that, or you went somewhere
No,
else?
I went to Team 5. So my grand scheme of going to Buds to leave ship early panned out. So Team 5 formed up, and there was a need for a troop commander. And I raised my hand, and my XO at the time, a guy named Jimmy May, was running.
Dude,
We love Jimmy.
how about
Dude, it's the guy, the man.
Yeah.
So I asked
the
him.
Iraqis call him God of War?
Oh, man. He's a character.
He got shot in the shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
So he was my XO, and I said, hey, Jimmy, there's a spot at Team 5. I want to go, but it means I have to leave like 6 months early. And his exact words to me, and I remember them because I remember thinking, I hope one day I can pay this back to someone that's in my shoes, was I will never stop a guy who wants to go back to a team from going back to a team. We'll find somebody to backfill you at third phase. So thanks to him, I jumped ship about 6 months early and went over to Team 5 for my troop commander tour, which was, your platoon commander tour is typically the highlight of your career as an officer, but my platoon commander tour was amazing. I loved my guys, but my troop commander tour was something special too. And it was, the whole team was just firing in all cylinders. We had an awesome command master chief, Jason Gardner, an amazing commanding officer who's the smartest CO I've ever worked for. The operation, everybody was just solid. And then we got to go overseas. By that point in time, it was 2014. Iraq was kicking back off with ISIS, and my troop got to go over there and start the push and do the Mosul clearance. So it was,
cool, man.
It was awesome. So I took 5 platoons over there for the Mosul clearance, and we were there, started it, and then basically finished the clearance up to Mosul, and then cleared all of eastern Mosul. And then we turned over with Team 7 to finish the clearance of Western Mosul. So it was basically really the last push of any wars that the SEAL teams have been involved in since then. And, I was fortunate enough to be the troop commander, and, man, they gave me the golden roster. I had such awesome platoon chiefs and such awesome platoon commanders, and they made my life just amazing.
I had more fun at 5.
5 was the best. The best.
We had a stack. We got stacked like that too.
Yeah.
For Ramadi right before y'all.
Yeah. My SEA Hindo was the man too, and I mean, he just made my life so easy. So I had to focus only on the things that a troop commander should be focused on. And we trained hard, and when we got over there, it was just basically let the reins off of your guys and let them do what they can do. And man, they did it.
They had a great
for
time.
sure. They had a great time. Every single one of those platoons, we broke them up into 5 or 7 different outstations, because there was 7 places that need to be covered down on. And every single one of those platoons had lots of kinetic activity during that deployment, which at that stage in the game was unheard of.
Yeah, so
there was they got their work, and as a troop commander, that's where your reward has to come from is, can you get your guys employed? Are they going to get to experience the things that, to say my generation is a little bit weird, but guys in my generation got to experience that just through no fault of their own. Guys that came in later, we weren't going to Afghanistan anymore. Iraq had shut down already. Mm-hmm. So we reopened it back up, and to get the opportunity for all of them to get after it was something special for sure. And then I love Team 5. I said, hey, I was really junior as a troop commander because I jumped ship early. So I was spot promoted to be a troop commander. So I said, hey, let me stay and do another troop commander tour. And my CO was like, no, but you can be the ops officer if you want to.
I was about to say, man.
Yeah. I thought we had a really good relationship.
I mean, you're good.
So
dude,
I was like, I was a smooth
bro.
operator. I was like, let me do one more. But he wasn't.
I've heard of that happening, but
Yeah.
I've never, not a lot.
He wasn't having it. It wasn't because he didn't want me to do it. He was like, hey, man, if you want to keep progressing, like, you have to do something else. But he let me stay and be the operations officer, which is typically not a job that people look forward to. But I love that team so much. I would have done any job to stay there. Yeah. And then we got the guy that took over the command as the master chief. The CMC was Dave Hansen. My first platoon chief. Like, doesn't come any better than that.
Oh, man, I think it's illegal to stack teams like that.
It was insane. And then,
because if you vibe in that master chief, the XO seal like that with Hansen rolling in,
dude, it was. You could not have asked for a better place to be. And then the CO that came in, a guy named Woody, still in, so I won't divulge too much more on that. Silver Star winner, like legit Silver Star winner, just complete savage. A guy that is the guy you want running a command. I mean, all he cares about is training hard and getting after it. So
you said Steve Ward's name earlier.
Yes,
we were at breakfast.
Steve has been my command master chief, I think 5 times throughout my career. I'm pretty sure they just keep putting him wherever I am to make sure that I don't get in trouble. Yeah.
That, on my list of all-time greatest team guys, he's probably number 1. Walt Allman's up there. There's a couple dudes that when you say their name, he's one of them.
Walt's the man too.
He is, right?
Yeah, he treated me so well.
The academy now.
Yeah. Well, jumping forward a little bit, when I decided to get out of the community, it was a really hard decision, and I was really heartbroken over the thought of, like, I'm letting the community down. Not because I was anything special, but there was people that had invested a lot of time and energy into me. And DeWalt, he was the detailer at the time, and man, he was so good to me when I told him I wasn't staying when I was going to get out. He did everything he possibly could to give me whatever career path I wanted in the Navy. But he's like, I'm not trying to force you, man. If this is not what you want to do, I just want you to know, if you want to stay in, we'll find whatever job you want to do. So, the man.
Love that family. His wife.
What a great example, too, right? Yeah.
Team guys can invent jobs.
Yes, and he was about to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you'll run across, and it's when they separate, that's when you'll see 1s and 2s out in civilian clothes. I mean, there's jobs for us, especially our generation.
Yeah.
They were great at those.
Yeah. Yeah, he was willing to make jobs for me. He was awesome.
Back to your ops tour.
Yes.
Let's get back to that, because we kind of
I jumped like 5 years probably.
Yeah,
it's my fault.
sorry.
I kicked it off. So I was ops there, and then right before deployment, the Commodore, so the guy that runs all of the West Coast, the SEAL that runs all of the West Coast, was Rosenblum again, Captain Rosenblum. So he wanted me to go run the training command. So I had screened for XO, I screened for executive officer. So he said, as soon as I screened, he pulled me from Team 5, which was a bummer because I didn't get to deploy with Team 5. I did 18 months in the ops shop, and then right for deployment, I got pulled to go run the training command, which it was heartbreaking to not go deploy with those guys after having done all those things. But I was going to run the training command, which is the best job.
That's pretty good too.
It's amazing.
That's pretty good.
You're basically an officer in charge of a 250-person command, and your job is train. And the military in general puts a premium on training, but no one puts a premium on training like the SEAL teams do.
Rate it up.
It's everything for us. Everything for us. So we had tons of resources to just make training the best that we possibly could. And I had a great boss in Captain Rosenblum who, anytime I brought him initiative that I wanted to do, he was just like, run with it, approved. Let me know what you need to make it happen. And then they stacked the deck there with the best of the best enlisted personnel to be the trainers. So we had, you've probably got 300 years of combined wartime experience just at like the chief level that's there.
That's
so
awesome.
To have that level of experience and to be able to shape training was like nothing else. So I ran that command for a little bit over 2 years because I extended. They needed someone to extend, and I was like, you want me to stay here for another 6 months? Yes, please. Stay as long as you want me to. So I closed out my career at the training command, which was just the best place you could possibly be. And Steve Ward was the CMC of the group at the time. So I think it was like the 5th time that I had worked directly for Steve. It was just like a dream tour, and definitely the best place I possibly could have ended my career was at that training command. again, give back what little experience I had, being able to give some of that back to the next generation of guys that were coming through the pipeline in helping shape and form training was just
that's
awesome experience.
Have you seen our new compound?
It's insane. The stick, what do they call it? It's no longer the stick. It's like the coastal campus.
They should call it that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it. It's a coastal
freaking
campus.
Awesome.
It's what I thought it was supposed to look like.
Yes, same thing. Same thing. So
I was like, damn, this is great.
well, you same experience, right? When you had family or friends that wanted to come out and visit, and like, yo, let me see what the SEAL teams look like. You're like,
I think it's a good
you're
idea.
like, it's not. It's
Matter
not.
of fact, it's top secret.
Yeah, you can't come, man.
That's why we classified it.
Like, have you ever seen?
crap, dude.
Like, have you ever seen asbestos? Then you've seen the SEAL teams.
You can't believe where they put us.
Yeah.
Like, if you think no one would live in there, that's where they stuck us. And that's why it was top secret. And it's kind of funny when you talk about it out loud. But the house that McCraven, he snapped that check for us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all of our admirals are squared away.
It's amazing. Amazing. Man, I walked in there to give a brief to a Team 5 troop about an op I did as a platoon commander, over the beach op as a platoon commander. So I went to give them a brief for a real-world OTB op. And I walk in there, and it looked like I was in a Mission Impossible movie, or Men in Black or something. I was like,
we actually had the same chair.
what the heck, man? This is crazy. Each troop had their own like troop briefing room, and it was awesome. Awesome.
We got to go a couple times, and it is one of the. We went actually when the first team was just moving in.
So we hadn't put our stuff on it.
Yeah.
They just built it for us. We hadn't actually decorated it.
Yeah.
I can't wait till that shows around.
Man.
Yeah, and then we went back one time and we didn't we just showed up. We didn't really have any reason to be there. So we didn't go into the buildings, but we just walked around. That place is amazing.
It's amazing.
Pool. I just want to be the lifeguard of the pool.
He wants to be a lifeguard of the pool in the
August.
summertime.
Yeah.
In August in Texas. I'll be in
So
Coronado.
it's about that time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so did you know what you wanted to do when you got out?
Well, I did. So, again, just doors. God has opened up lots of doors for me in my life. And I think one of the things that I've done well is just walk through them and trust that things are going to work out just fine. So about the time I was thinking about getting out, the guy that was running the training command with me was Jason Gardner, who he was going to work for Echelon Front when he got out. So I had known Jocko passively. He put me through our first workup cycle. I'd gone over to his house to kind of pick his brain on some stuff when I was a troop commander. So not like we were best buddies or anything, but we knew each other. So Jason got out before I did. So he retired after 30 years. So he went to work for Echelon Front, and he was a long time. And he was basically pitching for me to come work. And Jocko was like, there's a spot for you if you want to go do that. So my initial plan was get out and go start right with Echelon Front. At the same time, my best friend on the planet, Garrett Moore, who was another team guy, we had went through officer candidate school together, lived together during BUDS and SQT. We're at Team 7 together. And then when I ran the training command, he was supposed to go to Warcom, the Death Star we call it, to be basically a staff guy up there. And I asked Rosie, I was like, Rosie, I really need help over here. Could we steal Garrett from Warcom and bring him over to the training command? And Rosie was like, yeah, absolutely. So I saved him from that destiny, and he worked for me at Tradet as
they stuck in there.
Oh my gosh, man. Poor guy. Yeah, whoever it was that had to.
Dude, who'd you hook up?
I owe you some beer, whoever
I know
that
you
was.
hooked somebody up, but you also hooked somebody up.
That's true. That's the first time I've ever thought about it like that.
That's what
I'm so sorry.
I'd bring it to your attention, sir. That's what we're for.
Well, if that was you and you bumped out Garrett Moore, I will send you a bottle of whatever whiskey you want.
I'm like, sir, that's a great idea, but let me just throwing this in there.
Yeah. You will permanently ruin someone's life.
Somebody.
Yeah. So,
officers, man, they don't think about shit like that.
Just we think first order effects.
First order effects,
man. Yeah. So he comes over there. He was getting out to start a company. It's a construction technology company that him and his best friend from childhood, who was also a team guy, were getting out together and starting. And he was like, hey, I want you to come and help us start it up. So it was really appealing to go and start something with buddies. It's from scratch. So I called Jocko because I was already kind of committed with him, and he, just being an awesome guy. He legit words to me were, you'd be stupid not to go do this. Sounds like what he'd say. Go do this for a couple of years. Because I told him I can only do it for a couple of years because I don't want to be in California. One of the big reasons for getting out is we wanted to be closer to family and give the kids room to roam like we had growing up. So I told my buddy, I give you 2 years. After 2 years, we're moving out of California. So Jocko just told me, hey, do that job. You'll learn a ton. You'll be more valuable to Echelon Front when you come work for us. We're here whenever you want. Like, you let me know, you've got a spot. So I was very comfortable making the move away from the military. Did the COO spot at the startup for a couple of years, which was just an amazing learning experience. Getting to help my buddies, build something and build the culture of a company around our values and whatnot. And the company's doing amazing things right now, just absolutely amazing things right now. And then the 2-year mark, we moved to Virginia. And I called Jocko up and he's like, cool, let's do this thing. And literally the day that I stepped away from the construction tech company, I started on board with Echelon Front, which is where I am right now, and which is a dream job. I get to go around and work with great people, meet different companies from every sector of the economy, and we get to talk to them about leadership and how it applies not only to the work arena, but to their personal lives. And then we get to offer them some additional resources that they can use to basically better themselves, whether it's at work or whether it's, with their families or their friends, and couldn't ask for a better job. And just the team at Echelon Front is amazing.
What's the easiest choice you could make? Picking a window seat over the middle or going for a beach vacation? For us, it was simply choosing Shopify to launch our online store. When we first started T&Q, we were clueless about everything that revolved around making an online shop. But Shopify has made it so effortless, we have not had to worry about a thing. Imagine this, you've got a fantastic idea, like my mom's handcrafted candles she makes in the kitchen, or some cool shirt designs or artwork, but you're not sure how to sell them online. Enter Shopify, the global platform that helps you sell at every stage. From your first sale to your millionth and beyond, whether you're selling trendy clothes, gourmet chocolates, or whatever your heart desires, Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform and POS system makes it easy. Plus, with Shopify's AI tools like Shopify Magic, it increases sales like a breeze. And here's another bonus. Shopify's checkout conversion rate is 36% better than other companies. Start and scale with Shopify. It is your go-to partner. Begin with your journey with a $1 per month trial at shopify.com/TNQ. That is shopify.com/TNQ to get your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/TNQ.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Y'all do have a stacked team at Echelon. It's Jocko, Leif, Jason, yourself. Who is there? Anybody else?
So Steve, Dave Burke, he's got to be the greatest pilot alive right now as far as U.S. military is concerned. He's flown like every plane imaginable. Awesome guy.
What was that?
JP Donnell. Carlos Mendez, who was my AOIC when I was running the training committee. He's a prior enlisted guy, did 20 years, got out. Got a couple of hard charging Marines. Cody is there. We got.
You got to have a couple of them.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely.
You can't have too many team guys because it can get dangerous.
Yeah.
You got to
throw in
dilute the punch
with some adults,
with some adult Marines.
But
it's a thing.
Yeah,
it's like ice cubes. Okay, you got to throw them in there with us, man. They do that.
We got some first responders like Danny's on the team. Awesome guy, did a lot of SWAT time, fire department time, and then we've got some ladies on the team who were never in the military but just killed it in their civilian sector. They were D1 athletes, and the team is just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
For our listeners that don't know about Echelon, y'all do, like, anybody can hire Echelon to come in and do leadership training or...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So our goal at Echelon Front is to just train as many people as you possibly can to be leaders and to drive as much impact as we possibly can. So our main thing that we do is we work with different companies, and we work with every shape and size of company that you can possibly imagine, from, a tech startup that might have 10 employees to some of the biggest companies on the planet, like legit the biggest companies on the planet. We've got tens of thousands of people on the payroll. And, our goal there is just to arm their leaders with the tools they need to be better leaders. Because if your leadership is dialed in, everything's better. You know, your people's lives are better, which means, you know, they're going to have, you know, increased ability to contribute at work in whatever venue they're in. They're going to have more freedom to contribute at work. And anytime people have a sense of ownership and they have the ability to be creative about how they problem solve, it's just going to be more beneficial for the entire team. So any company, big or small. And then we also have some events that are focused on giving just people the opportunity to come as well. So like our muster, I'm flying from here back home for a day and then going to Nashville for our big muster event. 1,000 people from every walk of life are going to come for a 3-day event where we're just a 3-day deep dive on leadership, where they're going to get the opportunity to hear from everybody at the Echelon Front staff. So mainly focused on working with companies, but we also have different avenues for just individuals to come in. At those musters, they're awesome because we'll see husbands and their wives that are there trying to improve their relationship. We see parents that bring their kids that are all trying to improve, you know, their relationship and be more effective as a family unit. So, I mean, you talk about an impactful job from a personal perspective, it doesn't get any better than that.
That's awesome. And then you start a cattle business.
I did. We did. Yeah,
did you grow up with the cows?
We had
more horses, or
every animal you could have except for cows.
Oh my gosh!
And now
funny.
knowing
that's kind of what happened to me too.
Yes, and now knowing what I know about livestock, they're the easiest livestock to deal with. They're easier than our chickens are. You know, the cows are easier than our chickens are.
Yeah.
So I don't know why my parents got into horses and all this other stuff, but cows are definitely, if your property is set up the right way, cows are the easiest. So we've got the beef business, which is Primal beef, and then I have my own personal herd. So you kind of keep those two things separate. So my personal herd is around 25 to 35 cows at any given time because we run a cow-calf operation. But it's all grass-fed. We've got live water all on the property, so it's really easy for us in the spring, summer, and fall because they just roam around and graze, and we might shift them from paddock to paddock to not overgraze a certain paddock, but they kind of just do their thing. Run them through the chute a couple times a year to do your vet checks and whatnot, pregnancy checks. To with them. And it's good. You know, hands on, they get used to you. They come if we call them. Like, that's how familiar they are with us.
And this is in Virginia.
In Virginia, in the Shenandoah Valley. Okay. I mean, it's just beautiful. Beautiful.
Like rolling hills.
Rolling hills. We're right in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And, you know, it's mountains, but it's like the bare minimum standard of mountains. It's not the Rockies. You know, it's not the Tetons. You got to start somewhere. Yeah. It's like if the cutoff is, you know, I don't know what it is, like 900 meters, we're probably at like 901 meters. But they're beautiful.
Still on the ride.
We're still there. It says mountain right there on the title. So it, you know, it just tree covered. Everything is super lush. It's paradise. The Shenandoah River runs right through our hometown. It's like maybe 3/4 of a mile away from our farm. The river is. Our creeks dump into the Shenandoah River. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
So when I moved out there, I started to realize that part of America, the Shenandoah Valley, I didn't realize this. You know, being a Texan, you think of Texas beef. It's kind of goes hand in hand. You don't think of that in Virginia. There's more cattle per capita in Virginia than there is in any other state per capita. Now, Texas has massive land mass.
Yeah.
But Virginia, everything is so lush there that the land itself can just support more cows. So, you know, if you're out west, you've got to have like 20-something acres per cow-calf pair because it's more arid. There's not as much growth for them to eat. I mean, you can't stop things from growing where we are in Virginia. So there's just cattle everywhere. And I realized, man, we've got all this access to this amazing, you know, farm-raised, ethically raised, all-natural cattle that most Americans just don't have access to because they don't live in these small farming communities. So myself, my brother-in-law, Declan, and then the guy who actually knows about cattle, Paul, are, you know, the actual cattleman, if you will. And then Jocko started Primal Beef, and our goal was to bring the same farm-raised, all-natural Black Angus, you know, American beef that we had the opportunity to eat every night to as many Americans as we possibly could. So all of our beef comes from one farm right there in the Shenandoah Valley. And then we set up an e-commerce business so people can get online at primalbeef.com. And we basically just set up kind of a curated box beef business so they can get on there, you know, pick their boxes, pick their cuts, and then we'll ship it right to their door so they can experience, you know, the same thing that we get to eat when we're going to our neighbors.
Processing?
We did, and we built relationships. Echelon Front is huge on leadership, is about building relationships, right? So our processing plant is, and the reason we chose this processing plant is they are the best at what they do on the East Coast. And what I mean by that is they're not trying to be one of these massive kill plants that's doing 1,000 head a day. Yeah. So they care a lot more about the quality of beef that's coming out of them, the quality of the cuts, and they do the quantity. So these, hard charging couple young guys bought this turn of the century processing plant in Lynchburg, Virginia, and just completely remodeled themselves, brought all these jobs back to Lynchburg, and started this place called Seven Hills Abattoir. So our cattle go down to them. They get whole carcass dry aged for somewhere between 14 and 21 days. And then they train all these butchers up and they hand cut all these different beef, all the different cuts that you see when you go to your stores. And then they do all the packaging and sealing for it. And then from there, we ship everything out, all the beef out to a cold storage fulfillment center in Missouri. And the reason we do that is if we were doing the fulfillment ourselves, there's no way that we could offer same day shipping. It's just too much. But this fulfillment center, again, they're the best at what they do. So if you get online and you place your order before 12 o'clock, your beef is shipping out that exact same day.
Which I did.
Awesome.
Before we even had you on the show, I just wanted to see how the process went. And I ordered a pretty big package and it was shipped out that day or the next day. And I made the mistake of buying it during Lent, and both of us
gave up meat. Oh no,
red meat during Lent. So it sat in our freezer for a while, but
stared at it. Bro, she would show me pictures of steak.
Yeah,
like we drive down the road. She's like, look how good that looks. Like when I was driving too.
But
she's supposed to be on my side.
Yeah.
Well, I look at beef and I can be like, oh, I look forward to eating this. Marcus looks at it and he's like, you're punishing me.
Yeah, like every other team guy.
Right now. Right now.
Yeah. So as soon as Lent was over, we actually had some of the ribeyes from your farm and from Primal Beef, and it was excellent. And since then, we've made spaghetti. We got the ground beef package. We got all of it, and it's perfectly packaged. I love how it's packaged up. I hate when you defrost meat that's been packaged and there's it's not completely sealed and all the blood leaks out. Yep. It drives me freaking nuts. But Primal Beef was the perfect packaging, quick shipping, and it tastes delicious. I loved it.
Awesome. And that, our goal when we started the company was all of our decisions are based off of kind of two things. One, what's good for the cattle, and then two, how do we make this the best possible experience for the customer that we can. So from the cattle themselves, the processing, again, we could have gone and maybe found someone who did it a little bit cheaper for us to pay the processing plant, but these guys are the best at what they do. And they do all kinds of other things that we cared about as well. So that processing plant also has a work release program that they operate. So they're taking guys that made some bad decisions in their life and were in state prison, federal prison, 2 days ago, and then they get them out and they teach them this skill of how to be a butcher. And we get to go down there and visit these guys on a routine basis because it's only 2 hours from where we live. So anytime we do cattle drop-offs and whatnot, we go down there and shake hands and see everybody. And to see the change that it's made in those guys' lives, to have someone that's willing to take a chance on them and give them a kind of a second lease on life. So there's lots of reasons we wanted to go with Seven Hills, mainly because they're the best at what they do. We went with the fulfillment center because they're the best at what they do. We went with the packaging because it's the best for the customer. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad to hear you say that, Melanie, because our whole goal was basically to make things the best experience that you can possibly have ordering beef from somebody. Yeah. And unlike walking into a store where you have zero idea where that cow came from, what kind of cow it is it even a cow that was raised here?
Yeah.
It's probably not even a beef cow. It's probably a dairy cow that ain't producing milk anymore. So they're not going to just let that cow live out its life on a farm somewhere. They're going to process it for beef.
And if you see some of these cattle yards, how they, I don't even know what they call them, but they don't even have grass.
Yeah.
They're just in these pens that are raised on dirt, and it's disgusting. If you see how some of the cattle that if you buy it at just the box stores, where that meat's coming from, it's so gross.
Yeah. And that's, that was the main reason for starting the company is it used to be like our food chain is 100% broken. Our food system is 100% broken.
Yes.
There's some things would be harder to fix than others. Like we're importing massive amounts of wheat from overseas. It'd be hard to go to your local farmer and buy all natural wheat. It's not that hard to do that with beef. Like there's plenty of farms that are producing really good, all natural American beef. Now they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller because people from overseas are buying up farmland. There's different conglomerations and individuals that are buying up farmland, and they're just basically doing it to take that farmland off the table so that we can't farm it anymore.
Supplemental feed is so expensive.
Very expensive. And the number of cows that we're raising right now is at like a 50-year low. It hasn't been this low since the 70s. And it's not like Americans are eating less beef. Like America's still a beef country. But it's just a broken system, and we're trying to do our part to be able to give people the opportunity to know exactly where their beef comes from. And because all of our beef come from one farm, the quality is going to be the same every single time.
I don't think any of our food should be imported.
Yeah.
None.
Look at our country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's insane the amount of food that we can produce and grow ourselves.
When I was a kid,
that's the one thing our food needs to be.
When I was a kid, Louisiana, I was born in Louisiana, so I always revert back to that because that's what I know. But like the fields were just covered in sugar cane. Louisiana produced the most amount of sugar and rice for America. Yep. And now I'm pretty sure it's the Chinese companies that own that land and that own those factories that were once local American families that did that.
The
I didn't think a foreign entity could own land in the United States. Isn't that written down somewhere?
They can.
They can now.
If only we knew somebody could do something about it. Yeah.
I'm going to come up with something, y'all.
There is some legislation that's trying to get pushed right now that basically prevents future sales of stuff like that happening. But if you look at how our cattle is even produced, I forget the exact number, but it's well above 80% of all beef produced in America comes from 4 different massive companies, and at least one of them is a foreign-owned company. Mm-hmm. So the average age of a farmer right now too is 63 years old because families just aren't taking over the family farming business at all. So we're in a hard spot as a country when it comes to our farming tradition for lots of different reasons. And
the equipment's so expensive too for what they make. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everything to run a cattle operation is so expensive. If you're not set up for it already, to build it is so expensive.
And that's one of the reasons I think that it's easy for these big 4 companies to kind of run everything is they can go to these farms and just basically take all their herd, like tell them they'll buy all their herd from them. Mm-hmm. So it takes a burden off of the farmer who's already struggling to make a profit for them and their family with the price of everything going up. And beef prices right now are at an all-time high as well because of all those different factors, shortages and whatnot. So something's got to change. And, we're trying to do at least our small part to address that by giving people the opportunity to know, to basically put that missing link back in the chain, which it used to be, I lived in a community, I bought my beef from over here.
Yeah,
I bought my sheep from over here. I bought my vegetables, or I grew or I did this. We're well away from that model now for the most part. So we're trying to bridge that gap a little bit to where we might not live next door, but we can definitely get you our beef and you'll know exactly where it came from and exactly how it was raised.
Are you doing subscriptions or just...
Either one. Okay. So the main model is subscription, and people get a discount for subscribing, but you don't have to subscribe. You can come on there and order just a box if you want. And then in about 2 weeks, our new website is launching. So it'll be the same address, primalbeef.com, but we launched the new website to give the customers a better experience and more flexibility. So when we started the company, law of leadership, law of combat, basically keep it simple. So we just said, hey, here's 7 boxes that you can order with good cuts in it. But now we want to give people the opportunity to kind of build their own box and add different things on. So the old website was just kind of too clunky to allow us to do that. So we completely redesigned the website. So now middle of May, people get to go on there and either buy one of the boxes that we have curated for them or just build whatever box they want for themselves. And then we also have beef jerky that'll be available on the new website. Same thing from our cows. Went and built out a relationship with a small company in Pennsylvania, former Marine that started a beef jerky operation. They're producing all of our jerky for us now, and then in the near future, beef sticks and some other fun stuff too. So
nice.
I'm good for you, man.
Yeah. Thank you
It's
for
been
doing
fun.
that
It's cool,
because
yeah.
to know where our food comes from is so important.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Especially, you know, you got 5 kids in the mix like I do. You know, it's a different, when you're single, you think about it a little bit differently than you do when you have kids in the mix. And you look on the back of one of those boxes and you're like, I can't even pronounce half of this stuff. Like, what is this stuff doing?
Explain to me what we off-gas and what comes out of us, the earth feeds on. What comes out of the earth, we feed on.
Yeah.
So the cycle, whenever you off-gas in the area there, that's why you're supposed to eat the food and you garden around, because whatever goes into the ground from you, the earth feeds on it. It knows what you need to survive, so it grows it in the fruit and the food that you need. If you're ordering food from a different country, it's got what they need.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's missing in that. That's why we say organic. It's like, yeah, technically mean you need to, one thing, like our tech can go as far as you want. We could go into a different planet and all that. Make sure that food is growing close.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know where it is.
And seasonally.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
people that order watermelon in Texas in January, I'm like, you realize that did not come from here.
Yeah.
There's a
There's no
reason
way.
why it grows in that time of the year. So you're
Yeah.
supposed to have it in that time of the year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't get used to it, you know, or you don't overindulge.
Yeah.
It's like it's a gift.
Yeah.
Each one of those things is a gift, and they rotate around. It's humans. We were joking about this. So every team guy gets bored about every 3 months.
Yes.
That's why deployments are kind of
Yeah.
set up the way they are. It's like, same way with all humans. That's why the seasons change every 3 months. That's why all sports change because after 3 months, human beings, especially Americans, we get bored.
Yeah.
So you get bored with your
a
food.
good
It's all
point.
right. There's another season rolling in.
Yep. You got the squashes are going to roll in the
gift.
fall.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to
All right,
embrace it.
so primalbeef.com, and you have any social media?
At Primal Beef, at Primal_beef_co is the Instagram account. We're on Facebook as well. And then my personal Instagram account, which like is just basically farm stuff. Me out there trying to not burn down the farm on a day-to-day basis,
great
basically.
videos.
And is
People love them.
at Sean Glass Actual is that
Okay.
one. So that's
Awesome.
it.
Thank
Yeah.
you for coming on.
Thank y'all so much for having me here and giving me the opportunity to spend some time with y'all. And again, you know, bottom of the heart, thanks for the hospitality. It's nice to see hospitality's not gone extinct.
Oh, no.
Welcome to Valhalla.
You're in
Yeah, hell yeah.
Texas. Yep, you're back home.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Yeah.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.